You're listening to the Real Longevity Podcast, your number one podcast resource for living a longer life. Here we discuss topics on personal fitness, longevity, and real lasting elevation of mind, body, and spirit. Join us as we build a community of healthy men and women enjoying lasting levels of real health and vitality. If you're currently feeling frustrated with pain, flat, or fed up with aging faster than you actually are, you're invited to join us each and every week here on the Real Longevity Podcast. Welcome to the Real Longevity family and get ready to live a life you truly love. Welcome back to the Real Longevity Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Hendricks, and today we have another outstanding, informative, and elevating show for you. I'd like to welcome all first-time listeners to the podcast. Welcome. And be sure to stay at the end of the show, where I'll be sharing all my social media links where you can connect with me and the Real Longevity community. We'd love to have you here. So be sure to stay at the end where you can find out all the details where and how you can connect with us. Welcome. Privilege and honor to have you here with us again. So today we're going to be talking about a topic which, if you put it in simple terms, it's going to make me look a little bit vulnerable, which is good. I like to be transparent and let you know that I'm human like everyone else. And it's something that I know from many coaches that don't really talk about or shy away from. And when you look at a lot of people in the fitness and the wellness and the health and fitness space, it's easy to assume that they had it all from day one, all locked down. They had everything all down pat. Everything was just perfect in terms of way they did things, how they worked with clients and so on. But that's kind of not the truth, and I'm going to share with you my own personal journey on that. If you want to be honest and truthful, there's not a huge number of coaches that can say that from day one they knew exactly how to manipulate a client's metabolism, they knew anything about biomechanics and anatomy and physiology, and they knew how to prescribe the ideal or perfect workout or training session for their clients. And if they are, I'm here to tell you that it's a lie. That's not actually true. In my own early days as a coach, they were filled with lots of frustration, and not because the clients I was working with were lazy. That wasn't the case in most cases anyway. It's because I myself was making errors. I was doing things incorrectly. My enthusiasm kind of got in the way. I was following conventional wisdom that frankly does not really work when you're looking at helping people achieve their goals and really aspire to live in a long, vital and energized life, and they want lasting changes. So today I'm going to save you from those years of errors that I make. I'm going to share with you my stories of what I was doing wrong so you can avoid them and you can evade them as you continue on your fitness and well-being and longevity journey. So the title of today's show is named 5 Things I Wish I Knew When I Started Coaching Weight Loss and Wellness. 5 things I wish I knew when I started coaching weight loss and wellness. These, if you like, you can call them the blind spots that kept my clients stuck, and the mindset shifts that we had to adopt in order to set them free and get them going in the right direction and really achieving their goals. So let's jump into it. So mistake number 1, what I was doing there, I was focusing too much on exercise. Mistake number 1, focusing too much on exercise. Now this is again something I still see in the fitness and health space today. And it's one that hurts the most because as a new coach, you love exercise, don't you? Speaking about my own personal experience where you've been trained, you got qualified, you love exercise, you love training exercise, you love exercising yourself. And I thought, getting my clients to sweat was good and getting them to work hard and harder in the gym was even better. Now, I wish that I knew that back in the day, no matter how hard you trained, how many times you exercised, no matter how hard you actually worked, you can't out-train a disconnected lifestyle. If there's disharmony in your lifestyle, there's other things that are not quite right. no matter how hard you trained in the gym, it wasn't going to work. I would have clients working hard on the treadmill, doing boot camp style workouts, and they were wondering why the scales weren't moving, why they were constantly hungry, they were irritable. They weren't seeing the goals being achieved the way they want. And the truth is, which I obviously know now, is exercise is basically performance for longevity. It's for mitochondrial health. It's for energy. It's for feeling and developing your muscles, your health, and your fitness and your strength. It's helping you create better bone density. It's helping you develop your respiratory fitness, cardiovascular health, cardiovascular strength. And if you're just solely focusing on training hard, not looking at other things as well, such as your diet, your levels of stress, stored trauma that you might have in the body, you're basically missing a trick. And you just, as I was doing with many clients for a lot of the time, was just overtraining and undereducating and just getting them to spike their cortisol levels. And as we know, when your cortisol levels are high, that's telling your body to hold on to visceral fat. And if your goal is to get the weight down, that's going to be counterproductive. And your body's not working optimally because you just solely focus on exercise. So that was a mistake that I made, just focusing too much on just training and exercising and working out and getting the body to sweat. Now, the shift and the fix, what I learned is that you have to, first of all, change your mindset, and you have to find a formula that works for you. Now, looking back, and again, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but when I received my qualifications with the National Academy of Sports Medicine, and then I worked with the American College of Sports Medicine, the ACSM, then I went on to do some Czech certification, Czech Institute qualifications. Looking back then, all those organizations, those certifying bodies, they all had a system. And that's the key thing. You have to find a system or a formula that works for you. As I grew in my own experience, I started to formulate and birth my own formulas. As you know, those are the Core, Build, Accelerate System and the Real Rejuvenation Program. They're the frameworks of the program. They're a formula, they're a system, they're a set of principles that my clients now follow when they are working with me. Because the top and bottom of it, guys, systems work. Principles, when you adhere and stick to them, they work. So the fix to avoid the mistake of just focusing on exercise too much is to find a formula. Find a formula that works for you. Now, there are many different formulas. I've just spoke about mine. And if you want to find out how you can get involved with those, I'll leave a link in the show notes where you can find out more information. But when it comes to exercise, you have to learn how to move your body because you love it, not because you're just beasting it on or punishing yourself for what you ate, this for that kind of mentality. Understand that weight loss is also for nutrition and fueling your body and giving it the right energy and information so it can grow and help support a long, vital, energized life. So you need both. You need to look at obviously the mental aspects, how you're approaching things, but I say finding a formula that encompasses a blend of all these components of fitness, well-being, and longevity. So avoid that mistake, focusing too much on exercise. The second mistake that I made was calorie counting to lose weight. Now, it's a mistake that many people fall into because calorie counting has been almost put on the pedestal as the best way that you can lose or manage your weight, just solely focusing on calorie counting. And if I had $1, €1, or £1 for every macro I counted in my early days, well, I think I'd be a wealthy man right now. I used to hand clients the food scales. I'd get them to download apps like MyFitnessPal, and they were seen as almost like the magic silver bullet when they were counting calories. And you could argue there is place for those things. They do work to a degree. I'm not knocking those things completely. But what are we actually teaching the clients when we're just focusing on getting them to count calories? I wish I knew then that biology and psychology have a proven place when it comes to weight loss. So focusing solely on just calorie restriction is just short term. And as I said, there is a place for that. But when you're just focusing on slashing calories, you're not just losing fat, you're signaling to the body that it's in that famine state. And as a result, your metabolism will drop, your thyroid output can slow down, your hunger hormones can set in, sending signals to other hormones to go through the roof. And you're literally having this to and fro battle with your own biology in your system. Now, if it's done correctly and aligned with your goals, calorie counting can be helpful. But focus on this alone, just counting calories, which was a mistake I did, is wrong, especially for a life full of energy, vitality, and without stress and worry. So if we're talking about the food noise and you're spending a day obsessing over how many calories you should have here and what's left for dinner, that's not really wellness. And I know a lot of programs out there do promote that. They're talking about you can have this many sins, or you can have red days, blue days, and all this good stuff. And many people, and you can come at me, will say that these have worked well for them. But what are you actually learning about yourself? You could argue that it's disordered eating that just raises your body's friction to finding true ideal wellness. And over time, that's going to have a negative effect on your body. So what is the fix? Well, the fix is let's not focus solely on counting calories. Let's focus on reading what the body is telling us. The body's communicating to us all the time. But the problem is, we don't often listen. The body keeps score on a daily basis. So we have to understand to listen to what our body is telling us on a daily basis. Your body is a living mirror of your mindset and your habits. Say that with me again. Your body is a living mirror of your mindset and your habits. Say it one more time. Your body is a living mirror of your mindset and your habits. So your body will tell you exactly what's going on. If you're feeling full of energy, vitalized, minimal pain in the body, you can focus well, digestive system's working functionally, that's your body telling you that you're doing most things well. Conversely, if you're in pain, lethargic, low on energy, don't sleep well, always have issues with your bowels in terms of your movement, again, that's your body telling you. So start listening and reading what your body is saying, because that's a key thing, and it's going to move you away from just solely focusing on counting calories. Read the ingredients on food labels. Understand what's in the food. Focus on whole, organic, natural foods, fiber-rich foods, healthy fats, good proteins. These are all brilliant steps that you can make that's going to move you away from just solely focusing on counting calories. So that was mistake number 2. Just solely focus on calorie counting to lose weight. Mistake number 3 was overlooking stress and the importance of stress management. So when I started out, and I treated stress like it was just, in people's head. They came to me and all said, oh, they had a bad day at work. I just like, let's go to the treadmill. Or let's go do some lifting and weights. I would kind of just poo-poo it or brush it under the carpet. But that was a big, big mistake, which I completely ignored that massive elephant in the room. And that elephant in the room is something that we now know is our central nervous system and the way stress impacts and influences our central nervous system. It's a non-negotiable truth that real longevity, you cannot optimize your body and your body composition if your body's in what we call that sympathetic dominant state. So in plain English, what does that mean? It means that if you're in that fight or flight mode, you may have heard that term before. So if you're trying to lose weight, but at the same time, you're juggling a stressful job, you're in a toxic relation, you might be under a little bit of pressure or a bit of stress, you've got poor sleep, your body's just shifting out day in, day out cortisol. And cortisol's job is to raise blood sugar for quick energy. And if you never use that energy to run from a tiger or an animal, that's something that's threatening you in real life, that's going to have an impact on your body, and it promotes the body's ability to store fat, which obviously if you're in a weight management journey, you want to get leaner, you want to reduce your weight, you don't want to be training and conditioning your body to store fat. Again, I had clients doing everything right. They were doing all the eating clean, they were training hard, they were sticking to the plans that I was giving them. But it wasn't until we sat down and just understood what was stressing them in their life and how we could look to manage their stress much more effectively that things started to shift for the better. So the fix, The fix is, if you're not managing your stress, you need to start thinking about how you can start to manage your stress. I treat it as a non-negotiable now. One of the first things I do, and you may have heard me talk about this before with my clients, is that before we even look to get into a mode of physical activity, we do an overall health appraisal. So we look at all different components of their life. We talk about stress, we talk about digestive health, we talk about financial issues, talk about the relationship, we talk about medical history, we talk about the exercise ability, we talk about any sort of pain they may be experiencing at the moment. All these things that contribute to how your body is managing stress. So there's no point getting someone to start running and lifting heavy weights, which is obviously causing another form of stress if they haven't addressed these other areas of their body. So it's important that if you can recognize this, maybe where you are on your fitness and well-being and longevity journey, you've not managed stress, you're not managing stress well, it's something that you can do. So it's a non-negotiable now. Look at applying the same rule of thumb. Think about how you can begin to manage stress a lot better. Getting out into nature, something I'm a big fan of. Getting out and doing some meditative walking, journaling, writing things down, doing some breathing or breath work, simple things like box breathing. Sit in silence for a few moments and just reflect on where you are now. Turn off the devices, move away from the screens. These are all things that are going to change the way our central nervous system is currently functioning. It's going to quiet down that sympathetic nervous system, give us time just to maybe get a little introspective and reduce the amount of stress that we might be experiencing at the moment. It's not woo-woo stuff, it's actually physiology that actually works. So don't you fall into the same trap as I did by overlooking the importance of stress. So what we're talking about here today, we're talking about 5 things I wish I knew when I started coaching weight loss and wellness. So we've just gone through number 3. So let's look at number 4 now, and that's not understanding the importance of rest and recovery. So stress is one thing, but if you're tired and stressed, that's another. So ignoring rest and recovery or being on purpose on rest and recovery was a big thing. I used to think that rest was just for people that were a little bit on the weak side or weren't really mentally resilient. I used to train 6 days a week when I was younger, and I used to think that, a lot of people should do the same thing because more is better. I wasn't focusing on quality at all, just focusing on volume and quantity. So I wish I knew that back in the day, because a lot of my clients, I would ask them to do the similar sort of thing, but that wasn't really serving them in the best way. So when we're doing resistance training or any sort of training like high intensity interval training, what we're doing really, we're causing damage to the muscle fibers, aren't we? We're depleting our central nervous system. And if we're doing that frequently, we need to make sure that we're being also deliberate when it comes to rest. We're trying to get our body stronger, fitter, leaner. But if we're not getting or giving the body time to do that by sleeping and resting properly, the body's going to struggle. And it's only a matter of time when, if we're constantly hammering the body, putting it through stress, without that adequate rest and recovery time, we're just going to be overtraining, and which leads to eventual blowout or burnout. You're going to be experiencing things like your joints hurting, you're going to feel irritable, you might be tired, but the quality of your sleep that you have is not going to be very good, and you're going to be lowering and compromising your immune system as well. So this is arguably the antithesis of longevity. We want to be promoting longevity in the body, not stressing it out so it goes the other way. So it's about being vital. Yeah, longevity isn't about sustainability. It's not about working out super hard all the time. It's about vitality and how we can promote vitality and energy in the body. So the fix for this, if something that you find yourself doing at the moment, you're not being on purpose when it comes to your rest and recovery, you need to be on purpose. You need to think about how you can schedule your rest days at the same time and with the same importance of your training days or your exercise days or your activity days. So you have embarked or embarking or about to embark on a longevity journey. You want to improve your fitness, manage your weight, have more vitality, manage pain levels in your body. it's important that rest is factored into that as well. So prioritize good night's sleep. How can you get a good night's sleep? What sort of things can you do to improve the quality of your sleep that you're getting? Make sure the room is dark in the ideal cool temperature. No screens, ideally an hour, 90 minutes before you go to bed. Making sure that you're doing whatever you can to rest. Throughout the day is an opportunity for you to rest and recover. You know your schedule on a daily basis. You can make that decision moving forward, but we need to make sure we're increasing our body's ability to recover, re-energize, rejuvenate. It's one of the things we talk about on the Real Rejuvenation Program is making sure that we're being on purpose and deliberate when it comes to our sleep, rest, and recovery. So we need to make sure that we are giving the body a chance to recover and rest, as well as obviously exercise and being active physically, mentally as well. So that was mistake number 4, not understanding the importance of rest and recovery. And the final one, number 5, not applying the real holistic principles. Now, I mentioned before about formulas and how the certifications that I got in terms of personal training, fitness coaching, and holistic lifestyle coaching, they all follow a system. And it's the key that you need to begin to say, right, what system, what principles, what formula, what blueprint, what roadmap, however you want to frame it, can I begin to follow and apply that's going to help me on my well-being and longevity and pain management journey. And this is where we talk about my umbrella or my formula or my blueprint or my roadmaps, the CBAS system and the real longevity, real rejuvenation principles that I follow. So I didn't apply these before, but I'm going to be kind to myself and say, obviously, I had to learn, and as I gained experience, I could begin to see where I made mistakes and how I could improve. So if you're not applying a real holistic principle, you're going to fall into a mistake of falling short and not giving yourself the best opportunity to succeed by not following a formula or a blueprint or a roadmap. So when I started coaching, it was just nutrition, focus about nutrition, and cardio was another day, and strength was another days, and it was kind of disjointed all over the place. There was no real system to follow. But humans and we are a system of systems. We are an ecosystem now, and we need to harmonize. You think about an orchestra. When you've been to symphony, or you've gone to an orchestra, or you've gone to a concert even, just maybe when there's 2 or 3 musicians playing. But I use the analogy or the metaphor of a symphony or orchestra because you've got lots of different musicians playing, you've got different instruments playing. Now, if one of those is out of sync, no matter how well the others are playing, you're going to be focusing on that one that is out of sync or making noise. And it's the same with the system and the body. The body is a system, but if one's out of sync, no matter how well the others are working, that's going to be causing issues for us. And that's where we need to start looking at health in terms of a holistic practical. And this is where the real framework comes in. So we're talking about the real framework, and it's the acronym I use all the time where you've heard me say about recognizing and taking personal responsibility when it comes to our health and our fitness and our well-being. We are the ones that are going to captain the ship to its destination. So we have to realize and understand, recognize where we are, do that through a series of questionnaires and understanding our body better, but we have to take responsibility. Next, we have to eat right. Eat right for where you are on your journey and your requirements right now. So moving away from just relying solely on these fashionable or in vogue diets and understanding what our body needs. A is for active mind and active body and exercise efficiently. Yeah? So activity that's going to be done in an efficient way, both for the mind and the body, so your body can benefit that. You can get leaner, you can get stronger, you can manage your pain better, you can get more energy up in the body when we're active in mind and exercising efficiently. And L is for love. Love longevity and find the love of an activity that you enjoy doing. Find what works for you. And that's the real acronym, REAL. Recognize, take responsibility, eat right, active mind, body, and exercise efficiently, and love for longevity. And I wish I knew that as a formula, because we know that responsibility plus eating right times that mindset from activity and exercise equals real longevity. That's the formula right there for a long, vital, energized life. And I believe, and I've seen, so I know it works, when my clients follow this formula, it gets them from their current situation or frustration where they are now to where they want to be in the future. And that's living a long, vital, energized, rejuvenated life. So whether in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, or older, following this principle really works for them. So here's a little bit of a summary of what we've spoke about in terms of the 5 mistakes. I've told you the 5 errors that I made as a young, enthusiastic personal fitness coach. But I share those with you today because I want to see you win. I want to see you move forward on your journey, and I want you to avoid those errors that I make. So don't focus too much on exercise. We can't outrun a poor lifestyle. Number 2, ditch that calorie obsession. If you're just solely focusing on counting the calories, it's just numbers. They're not really helping. You need to learn to understand and read what your body's saying. Number 3, manage your stress. What are the stresses in your life that are causing you disharmony right now? You need to look at how we can look to calm our central nervous system so the body can function at its best. Number 4, we said about resting and recovering. What are you doing to allow your body to rest, repair, and rejuvenate? Be on purpose with that. And number 5 is looking at applying those real principles. REAL. Recognize, take responsibility, eat right, active mind and body, and exercise efficiently, and love for longevity. Now listen, if you've felt a little bit ashamed because you couldn't do some of these things, don't stress. Seriously, really do not stress. Let that go right now. It's not about being perfect, as I've learned, and I share this with my clients all the time. It's about being aware. And this is what we're doing here on the Real Longevity Podcast, hopefully raising your awareness and inspire you into action. So if you didn't know, you now know I've shared it with you. And the key thing is that you don't have to figure it out alone. If you're tired of that hustle culture, the ill advice that you may have been given in the past, and it leaves you feeling, frustrated, fed up, and you're thinking, right, what am I doing here? Or you feel a bit apprehensive about starting your fitness and wellbeing journey. It may be something that you might want to consider, and that's working with myself. I'm going to leave a link in the show notes where you can fill out a short application form and find out more about how we can potentially work together moving forward so you can reclaim control of your health and get back to feeling rejuvenated and get back to feeling, looking and performing at your best regardless whether you're 40s or older. So I'd like you to connect with me, and I'm going to share with you the details in the show notes, but you can connect me on LinkedIn. Just find Mike Hendricks on LinkedIn. You find me on Facebook at Mike Bobby Hendricks. You'll find me on Instagram under The Real Holistic Coach Mike. And again, I'll leave a link where you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Real Holistic Coach Mike, where we'll be sharing lots of upcoming fantastic videos in addition to everything that we do here on the podcast. So make sure you take advantage of those links and connect with me and the Real Longevity community. So don't wait until Monday. Start thinking about how you can avoid these mistakes now. Take action and start seeing yourself upgrade your fitness and your well-being. Okay, I trust you found today's episode insightful and uplifting. So until next time, remember, be well, be wise, be cool, be calm, and keep it real. Blessings and chi. It is done. Peace.